I do have to say, this is not a tutorial. Everything that I'm doing, I'm not saying you should do it, and I'm not saying that's the exact way that it should be done. Anything you do to your bike is gonna be on you. If you mess it up, it's not my fault. If you get hurt, it's also not my fault. This is entertainment only, and none of this is real. What is going on, my beautiful raspy riders? We are gonna modify the Ariel Rider X-Class and give it some insane speeds. I'm gonna try to break this video down into 3 parts. The motor installation, the batteries installation, because there's 2 batteries, and I'm gonna parallel both of them, and then the controller installation. And for bonus footage, I'm also going to be including the light kit installation because I have the harness for the lights and I'm going to use that to run some motorcycle lights. Okay, this is going to be step 1 for me. This is the motor I'm going to be using and it already has the tire on there. I made a separate video on how I install the motorcycle tires. So if you guys are curious about that, you can watch that one first and then come back to this. So this motor does come with 2 torque arms on each side, but to make it even more safe, I bought extra torque arms right here. So these are going to be the ones where you bolt on directly into the frame, and then these are going to be your standard hose clamp ones. These will be like my backups. So I'm going to have 2 sets of torque arms on both sides. Since my bike is black, I got some spray paint to help match the color. I am using an enamel, so it's going to be a little more durable than regular paint. I'm going to let that dry for now. I'm going to work on something else and come back to this. Right now we're going to install our rotor. This one's a 203 millimeter. You got to remove these nuts. And the torque arm. When you install your rotor, make sure the arrow is pointing the right way. You want to do the Hall sensors first, one at a time, or else it won't fit. And then your phase wires. Next up, let's put this motor on our dropouts. So the axles will fit 170 millimeter dropouts, but this specific version for that size only comes with a 3-speed or single speed. I'm actually going to try to take off the derailleur. I just hate derailleurs when it comes to modified bikes. I feel like it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. So I'm going to try to remove some links so I can shorten the chain and just treat it as a single speed. You see this motor cable right here and the hole that it's coming from? You want to make sure that's pointing downwards. So because our bike is flipped over, it's going to be pointing up. If it's facing the wrong direction, you're going to have a higher chance of water seeping in there. It appears that there's a little gap right there. And it doesn't want to fully seat. Any better? Nope, not yet. Oh, it actually went in. Nice. Let's check the other side. It's mostly in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's good. It's an ND72680. We can push out 680 phase amps and 350 line amps. Some of these far drivers will come in green or blue or black. I'm gonna paint this black. I didn't have any painter's tape on me. I'm just using electrical because that's what I got. I stuffed the holes right here with tissue. Alright guys, today is a new day. Yesterday I took a break and I just stopped working on the bike. But today we are back at it. The torque arms are finally dry. We can install that onto the motor. We're going to start with the torque arm that comes with the motor. So I'm going to put that in there. If your bike doesn't have any existing holes, then you can just drill a hole and then bolt it on there. And before you bolt anything on, just make sure your axle is sitting all the way into the dropouts. Now we can move on to the secondary set of torque arms, just for added security. It's going to look something like this. To give the hose clamp a little more grip, I have this inner tube, and I'm going to cut this and put it around the hose clamp. It also protects the frame as well. Now, this axle is not going anywhere. 2 torque arms, super secure. So everything I just did on this side, I'm going to replicate on the other side. The motor is now fully secured with 2 torque arms on each side. I'm sure the torque arms that came with the motor was good enough, but I'm going to be overpowering the crap out of this. It's good to take some precaution. Now let's move on to the battery. Guys, when you order from Amorge, you can actually customize your discharge and your charging cables. You can use whatever connectors you want, and they can also customize the length. I did not make any customizations to this, but I did, however, customize this. This is my parallel Y cable. It's going to connect 2 batteries that have QS8 connectors, and it's going to combine it and then turn it into a QS10. And then from here, it'll be plugged in to this QS10 connector, and then those ring terminals will go to the far driver. I chose to go from QS8 to QS10 because I didn't want any bottlenecking, because we're going to be pushing some serious amps. For our first battery, which is going to be inside the frame, we have a 72 volt 40 amp hour Amorge pack. This bad boy is beautiful. Right here next to it is our battery bag, and this was made by JB Seats. Him and his wife does a fantastic job. They are so good at what they do. His information and all the parts that I used to build this bike are going to be in the description. So if you guys want a really nice battery bag and a seat, hit up Jerry from JB Seats. I noticed that this area right here has a little lip right here, and I don't really want it damaging my battery. I'm sure my battery bag has enough cushion to protect it, but I'm going to be a little extra careful and just stuff some extra foam. This is like some high density foam. I'm going to stuff it on the bottom of the bag, between the bag and the battery. Hi, Scooby. The extra foam I put made it a super tight fit. I think I put too much foam, and I gotta make it a little thinner. We're gonna fillet this biatch. And let's try again. Pro tip, if you lay it down, it's gonna be a bit easier because you have gravity working for you. Oh, so heavy. So much heavier. Let's take a step back and look. It is beautiful. JB Seats did such a good job on this battery bag. He actually made my seat also. It's not installed yet, but it's going to be shown later. If you guys are looking for a custom battery bag to protect your battery, hit up JB Seats. Jerry and his wife are just amazing people. It's always good to support your local businesses. And plus, they do such an amazing job. Now we have our second battery bag. I'm going to need to make 4 holes here so that I could loop a zip tie around the battery that's going to be inside here. That's what's going to keep it on the frame. Faux check, homie. Faux check. You don't want none of this. And then the discharge cable is going to be coming out through the back right here. So the bag is secured to the frame. Now we got to secure the battery to the frame. Alright, I think it's pretty secured. So accidents happen. You never know when your bike will possibly tilt over or tip over. So it is probably a good idea to put some foam on the edges. You just never know. Look how far she's come. Looking good. You guys see this right here? These are our discharge connectors. So before we can parallel them with our Y cable, we have to check the voltage and make sure they are at the same or near the same. Otherwise, you're gonna destroy your battery. So red goes with red and black goes with black. The frame battery is at 79 volts. The top battery says 77.6 volts. We cannot parallel that one yet. We have to charge that up so it equals 79 volts as well. It's been charging for a few minutes. Let's test it again. 79. And then we try the other one. Also 79. It's ready to parallel. Sometimes these QS8 connectors can be hard to fully seat, so you want to make sure it's all the way pushed in. So the only way to know for sure if the batteries are actually paralleled is to charge one. Since they're paralleled, it should be charging the other battery as well. So after a couple minutes, we're going to go back and check the voltages again. And if they're the same, then that means we successfully paralleled. It's been charging for a couple minutes now. And let's check. The top battery says 79.1. And then the bottom battery, also 79.1. So we did it. We are officially paralleled, guys. So that's step 2. The battery is done. The last thing is going to be hooking up our controller. It is time for the scariest part. I am going to be drilling into my frame. So I'm going to start with a small drill bit and then work my way up. I'm going to use a screwdriver to mark my holes. Alright, here we go. No turning back now. So wait, all 4 bolts fit. I don't know how concerned I should be about that one though. If you look down here, it skimmed the frame just a tiny bit. Most of my weight is going to be like right here anyways. It's only if I have a passenger there's weight back here. So I guess my wife will find out if it's going to be okay or not. Alright, so it is day 3 of working on the Ariel Rider X-Class. The holes are drilled out to mount the controller. So now I just got to start plugging things into the controller. We're going to start with our phase wires first. And we just match up the colors. After we do the phase wires, we have the battery connector. And while we do the battery connector, we also have to screw in these terminals for our light kit. Now this is completely optional. I have friends that will wire their lights to a separate battery bank, or you can just use rechargeable lights. But this harness right here will allow you to use your battery's power and step it down to 12 volts. So you can essentially use any motorcycle headlight and tail light. Over there we have our throttle. This throttle I make plug and play, and I do sell these in my store. This 3-in-1 throttle, voltmeter, and ignition is the only thing you need to run a far driver. You don't need a display because your phone can act as the display, and the light kit is optional, but this you do need. Over here we have this yellow wire. This will also be screwed onto the positive, along with the battery positive terminal and the light kit positive. And that's pretty much it for everything that needs to be screwed in. Next up, let's take our far driver harness and plug it in. I'm going to worry about the lights later. First, we got to plug in some things so that we can do the auto learn with our far driver. So your motor should come with dual hall sensors, and one is just a backup. The nice thing is that it does come plug and play with the far driver. And then we need to install our throttle. And the last thing, to turn our far driver on, we connect the battery. So let's see if power turns on. Please, please, please turn on. Oh yeah. We are Gucci. Going into the Far Driver app. It says COM. It has a Bluetooth symbol on the bottom right. And my controller does pop up. If you are new to Far Drivers, you will have to go through like a process where you have to input your email and then they'll send you a password, and that's at the very beginning. That's for if you've never used a Far Driver before. It could be a pain sometimes. You might have to input your email a few times. When I first did it, I did it like 10 times before I got my password. So if it doesn't work the first time, just stay with it and keep trying. So for me, since I've already done that, I'm gonna click this controller right here. And then under scan, it says weight bound. I'm gonna click that. I'm gonna press bound. And now I'm bounded. On the bottom left, I'm gonna click paras. I think that stands for parameters. And then I'm gonna click open pro enable. So I'm gonna turn on my temperature sensor. We're gonna set our temperature sensor first. And that is gonna be number 5, KTY83122. Our pole pairs, 16. It already says 16, so we're good to go. Rated power, make sure that's 5,000 watts. The max line current, I'm currently going to change that to just 100 line amps. I'm going to change it later on when I adjust all my settings, but for now, I'm going to leave it at 100. Changing boost line current to also 100. The max phase current, I'm going to put 300. Boost phase current, also 300. And I'm going to press save. So we should be ready to do an auto learn now. Guys, this is going to be very important. For the auto learn, tip the bike over and then just rotate the wheel and make sure nothing is going to be touching the motor. For this part, you want to make sure your chain is not connected to your bike. During the auto learn process, you're going to have to pin the throttle and the wheel is going to move forward, but after that, it's going to go in reverse. Keep holding the throttle. Do not let go of the throttle until it is fully done with the auto learn. We're going to go back to the app. I'm going to press return simple mode. On the bottom, it says graph. You click the graph, and also at the bottom, it says auto learn. So we're going to click auto learn and enter. It should start beeping 3 times. 2 short, 1 long. Now it's going to go in reverse. Keep holding it, don't let go. Have the throttle pinned all the way down. So the wheel stopped moving and it gave me a beep. So we are good to go. So that's pretty much it for the build. This bike can be up and running now. So the rest of this video will just be bonus footage of me installing the light kit and the 3-speed switch. If you guys don't have a 3-speed switch, every Far Driver harness right here, this blue connector will come with this loop connector that's attached to it. If you are not using the 3-speed switch, you can just plug this in together, right? You just plug it in and it automatically puts you into mode 3, the most powerful level. Since I am using a 3-speed switch, I'm not going to be using this. For our 3-speed switch, there is always a very high chance you're going to want to extend the wires, depending on where you want to put it, right? Like for me, this would have been way too short. I could have kept it in my bag and then just flipped the switch inside the bag, but that would have been really inconvenient. So I extended my wires by using something called solder seal. You can get this on Amazon. It's really cheap and easy to use. All you need is a heat gun and it makes it super simple. But you don't need this to connect wires when they are low powered. When I first started and I didn't really know anything, I was literally exposing the wires, twisting them together, and electrical taping them. Now we go back and find our blue connector, and then we plug this in, and now we have our 3-speed switch. The colors do not match from the 3-speed switch to the far driver connector. So if you guys are wondering what the colors are supposed to be, the yellow on the far driver side goes to the red on the 3-speed switch, and then black to black and green to blue. Now it is time to work on our light kit. I got this motorcycle tail light over here. It's your brake light and your turn signals. You can just use some 3M double-sided tape, and it's actually really strong. It'll hold it there. The kit also comes with a switch. So for the switch, you do black to yellow single pins. White, red, and blue on the switch side goes to blue, brown, and a yellow and red. The yellow and red is one wire. It's just double colored. This is what it looks like. Brown, yellow, and green on the switch side. And that goes to orange, blue, and gray. These two connectors right here, the ones that are same colors, these will be hooked up to your motor cutoff connectors on the brake side. Black, gray, and pink connector hooks up to the flasher. This will let your turn signals blink. This single pin yellow and green connector goes directly to the far driver. The far driver has a gray wire coming from it. On the harness side, you have a yellow, black, and pink connector that goes into the DC converter. These two right here, one is black and the other one is yellow and red. It goes directly to your horn. I don't think it matters which side you plug it in. If it doesn't work, just switch it around. This connector with yellow and red goes to our ignition. And this I always have turned on. I just use my key ignition on the handlebar as my actual real ignition. This one is always on so that our lights can be turned on whenever we want. We turn on the ignition and see if our horn works. Yep. For our tail light, if you guys are going to be using the same one I'm using, it's going to be yellow light to brown harness, black to black, orange light to blue harness, blue light to orange harness, red light to yellow and green harness. And we can double check if it's working. We go left turn signal, right, and then we turn on the headlight. Oh yeah, that looks so cool. Now for the last connector on the light kit, it is a 3-pin connector with a black, blue, and brown wire. This connector goes to your headlight. So you can use any motorcycle grade headlight you want, and you just follow along the manual it comes with. So what I did with mine, this is the daytime running light, and these two are a low beam, high beam function. This is negative. So I took the high beam and low beam and I combined them together into this connector. So they are now one. So when I turn on the light, it turns on both the high beam and low beam. So for the daytime running light, I made mine go to the brown wire on the light kit. So what this does is if I turn on the headlight on the switch, it activates the daytime running light. But if I turn on this hazard button down here, now we have the high and low beam turning on. So everything's pretty much done. I just gotta do some wiring management, clean everything up. We got the seat over here. This was custom made by JB Seats and it feels amazing. It's gonna look something like this. Damn, what a sexy bike. It's gonna look so good once everything's cleaned up. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. This is just part 1 of the build process. In the next video, I'm gonna show the speed without doing much of a tune, and then I'll play with the controller settings a little bit and see what we really get up to. But if everything goes right, I'm expecting around 70 to 80 miles per hour. Everything I use for this build, I'm going to try to put a link in the description. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Please give this video a thumbs up and a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!